Hello, let us know that you're here while we're just connecting on.
Okay,
Sometimes
cool.
it's like
Hi,
a
everybody.
little delay. There we go, we're on. Hi.
We're on. Awesome. So we're doing something really, really special today, everybody. We are joined live with Abby Marie. And I'm feeling super, super chuffed because I feel like we've just figured out something amazing of how to stream something live to Facebook. And hopefully this is all going to go well and you can see. If you want to comment, you can still write your comments on Facebook and I will try and see them on my phone. We'll refresh. Okay, there we go. Oh, I can see us. Awesome. Yeah, it looks all good, Abby. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. Abby is one of the beautiful members of our community. And yeah, put her hand up when I said, is there anyone that wants to come on and share some tools and processes? And Abby said, me please, I want to share. And I'm so excited to talk about what it is that you do, Abby, and why you love it so much. I know that you're all about empowering women, and yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself before we help everybody through the process of discovering their core values.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on and inviting me in, and thank you everyone as well for watching today and commenting and we're going to go through a bit of a process which is going to be really, really fun. So a little bit about me. So who am I? So well, I mean, I'm a mother of 2 kids under the age of 10, and I went through some trauma and some grief and a lot of things in my life. In my past, I always dreamed to kind of have this amazing life where, getting married and having that happy family and having that picture life, and everything was going really well when I had the kids. And it wasn't until my wedding day. My wedding day was the last kind of day of happiness that I'd had with my husband because I'm going to get a little bit deep, but cancer happened to us. So cancer happened so quickly yet so slowly at the same time, and our life changed from being full of happiness and just adventure and joy, and it just went to dark, lonely days and hospital visits and hospice and things like that. And I'm getting goosebumps. He was at the age of 29, he was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer, and 2 hours before our 7-year anniversary, he passed away. So what I'm sharing my story because then what happened, I kind of went on this dark spiral. I was trying to be this mum who was recently widowed. My 2 kids, they were very small back then when that happened. So I was trying to do everything that I could, and back then my self-love was very toxic. It was smoking and shots of tequila and just really, really dark mindset, really dark and negative nights. And that's when I knew that if I didn't do something, if I didn't change, then life wasn't going to be that beautiful life that I wanted, and my kids didn't deserve to go through this, to see another parent struggling. So that's when I went on this self-discovery journey. That's when I started to learn about hypnosis and NLP and learning about how the mind works and how we can, be in control of our own thoughts and our own mind, but how important self-love is. And through that's I kind of discovered, my processes and the steps that I do, and now how I help other women to, go from feeling lost and confused and anxious and scared and depressed and go from being like, yeah, I've got this, feeling alive and being motivated and empowered and living their life by their values and their purpose and their, just feeling fully, just so much fulfillment. So that's why I really, when you were mentioning on your live about, sharing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to share with everyone, how to discover your core values, because I believe that was one of the biggest steps that I needed to learn and realize that I was living a life by somebody else's values, by somebody else's beliefs, and they weren't my own. And it's like, no wonder I was doing toxic behaviors and having, negative mindset when I wasn't even living my life by my true core values, you know? So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. I just kind of, it just all blurted out then, but
That's amazing, Abby. And thank you for sharing that, you know, that personal, vulnerable story, because, you know, what I've found doing work like this with women is that when one woman can be vulnerable and be open and share her story from the heart, even though it's hard, it just impacts that many more people, because there are so many people that need this, that aren't living their core values because they're living someone else's version of what they should be. And I love how you connect this to self-love, because on the surface you wouldn't. but
Right.
but it is absolutely, it is self-love, which is why it's
Mhm.
so appropriate in our community, and we're so lucky to have you. Thank you so much. So excited to do the process.
Yes, it's gonna be so good. So yeah, I mean, if you, I've created some slides today. I popped in a little worksheet earlier in the week for, you know, if anyone's on, feel free to have a look at that. But also, if you've just got your journal, just a pen and paper, write it down, or please just, guys, just share it into the comments. You know, share into the comments when I ask these questions. Let us know what you're thinking, and together as a collective, we can share and grow and bounce ideas off each other. You know, and like, you might think like, oh, you know, I want to live a life with this, and then, you know, as we go through the process, you might go, oh, hang on a minute, no, that's not my belief. Or you're seeing maybe somebody else is putting something, and you're like, oh yes, I do want adventure in my life, I do want love, I do want passion, you know. So sharing, I'm a big advocate for just like the sharing and just being a collective, and just yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of just sharing the love, really, isn't it?
Sharing it all, and we're going to inspire each other as well, because, you know, when one person comments, I'm just seeing if we can see comments. I know we've got 5 people watching at the moment, so if you can type a comment. I don't know if, Abby, you can see comments, but
I haven't seen any comments
yeah, I
yet.
can't see any just yet, but if you are commenting, type in a hi if you are there, so we can
Yeah.
hopefully see some comments.
Just let me know if you can hear me. I know that I was playing around with my microphone before, so maybe no one can hear. Oh no, here we go. We're getting some comments. Hello, ladies. You.
Oh, cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Mandy's saying thank you. So grateful to be here. And Sean is here. Yay! Awesome. Okay. I'm so glad. Okay, brilliant. And the volume is great, Mandy says. So
Oh, perfect. That's good. All right, so
okay,
I'm
so if you have journals and workbooks ready, then yeah, take it away, Abby.
perfect. So what I'll do is I'll just share my slide, share my screen, and let's bring up some slides. Okay, so I'll just double check on Facebook that they're coming through. I'm not too sure how this is going to show up, so we'll soon see and make sure those slides do show up. So please let me know in the comments if you can see them. Oh, great. So it shows up with both of our faces. I love learning new things.
I know, like, I'm mind blown right now. This is like so beyond my technical capability. I'm just
Oh, you're doing amazing. All right, so what I wanted to share first is kind of what are values. So values are those things that motivate us the most in advance. They are the principles you live life by, okay? So like we mentioned before, you know, how we're living our life really is driven by our values. So there are standards that we set for ourselves about what is good, fair, and meaningful in the world. Now, your values determine your actions, and they relate to how you spend your time. They affect how we feel about what we've done and relate to how we feel about ourselves and others. Now, what I want to share is why the values are so important. Now, they're important to identify your values before getting into like a relationship or a business agreement or taking a job or starting a career, because you want to ensure that you're living your life exactly how you want. Now, when you're living your life that is in conflict of your values, this is a recipe for stress, okay? Stress, suffering, and conflicting emotions. Oh, can I take it into slideshow? Good. I'm not sure, Mandy. Let me see. I don't think I've done that before. Oh, here we go at the top. Oh, this is so exciting. All right. We're learning new things.
That's perfect. Yep. Well done, Abby.
Oh, all right. So if you're not sure what your values are, you don't need to worry, because number one, by the end of, well, not this week's training, by the end of today's training, you'll identify your own values, which is the key, creating that life of meaning and passion. And when you stop basing your decisions on what others think and identify your own values and belief, life becomes filled with purpose. And number two, you're not alone, okay? So if you're not sure what your values are, you're not alone, because so many people are going through life living without even digging deep into figuring out what is meaningful and impactful to them. This is one of the reasons why people become distracted by power or material wealth and lose track of what really matters. We never find out why we are the way we are, and end up pursuing somebody else's idea of success. Now, let me know, ladies. Let us know in the comments. Did you know what values were before jumping on this morning? Or, do you feel that maybe, in the past you've been doing something and then you've kind of gone, hang on a minute, or like say if you've gone for a job and then you're like, oh, this isn't really what I want to do for a job. This isn't really, inspiring me or fulfilling, but I'm just kind of doing it because maybe your parents have said like, oh, we want you to grow up and be this type of person, or maybe someone has mentioned that to you. Have you guys ever felt that before? Have you noticed that in the past? Letting me know in the comments. But yeah, so
yeah, I'll let you know when comments come in.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, so what we want to do, so let's jump into a quick exercise to identify what our core values are. Okay, so I'm still just trying to get a hang of the clicking. Okay, so this is where I invite you to get your pen and paper or write it into the comments. And pretty much what I want to ask is, what would you do? So this is the first exercise. So what would you do if you had 6 months to live, but you still have perfect health, full mobility, and an abundance of money and freedom to do anything? What would you do with your remaining time? Now, just letting us know in the comments, Diane, what would you do with your, let me see if I can see you still. So yeah, what would you do with your remaining time? If you only had 6 months to live, what would you do?
Wow, okay. I still have perfect health, full mobility, and abundance of money, and the freedom to do anything. Oh, look, the first thing that comes to me is family time, and spending it with the people who I love the most on this planet, and that does include my good friends as well, not just my family. I'm so blessed that I have just such wonderful, wonderful friends and surrounded by beautiful people. But I've also got 3 sons and a loving husband. And I think when you're given this kind of, you've got 6 months to live, when you're given that sort of finite amount of time, that's it. Nothing else matters. For me personally, it would just be ensuring that I set up the boys. That if I had only 6 months, I would just probably be like doing video messages for them on life, passing down to them, and just making sure.
I love that.
It's like, it's such a good question, because it's not something that you actually pause and think about. It's so easy just to let life just pass you by, and you just get so caught up with the day-to-day stuff. That when it's just such a well-phrased question, because you find out exactly what's truly important to you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of where you just have to stop and kind of think as well. And it's like, oh, what would I do? Just saying comments. So Shauna is saying she'd travel abroad and be adventurous and spread the word of God with my family. That's amazing. I love that as well.
Wow.
Some of the other
as she's aged, her values have changed a bit, which I think is, that's important to note as well, isn't it? It changes as you grow and evolve.
Yes, it
Mandy
definitely does. Sorry.
Mandy says, I'd go bush with my children, 22 and 20, or take them with me and go volunteer in a third world country. Wow.
Ooh, these are
That's
great.
awesome, Mandy. Yeah.
Love these.
Mm.
Some of the other suggestions that I've had from other women, like they've said that they'll travel as well. They would dance. They would hug their family. They would learn more. And then have a big party, to spend time with loved ones, just kind of get everyone together and have this massive party.
Yeah.
They'd share their knowledge and their wisdom. So the lady who said that she wants to learn more so then she can then share it with others, share what she knows and, live life for now, go outside, love myself more and speak my truth. Yeah.
Gosh,
So
it
these
really
are
is quite emotional, isn't it? It's really
it
quite
is.
emotional reading these because, it's core truth, isn't it?
Definitely. So then what we do, so once we've done like our brain dump of just all the things that we would do, and no matter what you write is absolutely perfect for you. So don't feel like, oh, I didn't write that, and this person wrote this, and no, there's no judgment here. It's all about what you would do in that moment. Now, what the next process of this is, so now we're going to go a little bit deeper, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to elicit the values, okay? So looking at that list, so looking at what you would do in the next 6 months, if you only had 6 months to live. So like how you've mentioned family time and spending time with your good friends and setting up the boys and creating video messages, and also the ladies mentioning traveling abroad and being adventurous and volunteering in third world countries. The next thing to ask yourself is, what does this give me? And what is it important to me? Why is this important? Okay, so to kind of break this down, so it's like, so what does this give me? So spending time with my family, what does this give me? And just kind of off the top of my head, like if I was thinking, spending time with my family, what does that give me? Well, it gives me connection. Feel free to jump in, like what is important to you about spending time with your family or your friends?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of my greatest purposes in life is, my role in the family as a mom and a wife. That's like probably like my number one thing. And that sense of connection and purpose and just joy, it's like something that doesn't have to cost any money, but just connecting in that way is just so, it's just full of joy. Not always, because they can drive
they can drive you a little bit crazy.
yeah, but there's something so beautiful when you think, God, if this was it, if this was the final day, then nothing matters, none of the fights or the the dramas or anything, nothing matters. It just, you see that fundamental importance and connection's just so important.
I love that.
It's quite emotional, Abby.
Oh, that's share the emotions. It's beautiful. This is a beautiful process. And it really is. And I love that you are being so raw and vulnerable and sharing with all of us as well. Because it is, it's kind of one of those questions. And then, at the end of it, we'll reflect on this and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I won't jump too far ahead. I won't. I just want to I get really carried away with it.
Stick with your process.
Sorry?
Stick with your process. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just be like, oh, and then this. It's like, just calm down. So, you also mentioned as well, so setting up for the boys. Now, why is that important? What is important to you about, setting that up, or what is it that the reason for, leaving the video messages for them?
I think it's connection and security. Those are the two words that come to my mind, because the video messages, to still have that connection no matter what. because I love video. That's like one of my favorite things is like photo and video. I just love it. I love taking photos. I love taking videos and putting it all together and compiling it. It's like one of my loves. And yeah, to have, because I believe it's just like that person's never really gone if they're talking to you on video. So it's that still that sense of connection. And you know, that would carry on my purpose. I feel like that would, and you know, financially setting them up as well. Like I believe that would be a gift for them to make their life easy.
Yeah. That's awesome. So could you say that maybe it would be like leaving a legacy for them in a way?
Yeah,
definitely. I love that. So that's perfect. So I can see some comments. How exciting. So what have we got there? So Mandy's saying definitely connecting. Oh, they've moved down a bit fast. Can you see them, the comments?
Yeah, sure. So Shauna says, it would be important to me because as a child of God, I need to spread his glorious word and lead others to him. So important to Shauna. Mandy says, what else is more important than sharing what we came here to share, our authentic self?
I love that.
Poetic. And then Shauna says, to be able to do that with my family by my side would be phenomenal as we travel and take new adventures and tackle them.
Perfect. Oh, I love this. So if we broke it down, so just looking at Shauna's, so it's important to me because as a child of God, I need to spread the glorious word and lead others to him. So if I could ask, you know, why is that important? Okay, so and you might be thinking, I've already just told you, Abby, and it's like, yes, okay. So what just kind of breaking it down, and I'm just going to share my next slide for you. You know, what does it give you? Okay, so when you're doing that, are you feeling fulfilled when you're sharing, you know, sharing to the world about God? Like, are you feeling joy? Are you feeling that connection? Are you feeling that support? And it's really, this is really fun. It's like really breaking it down for kind of those key words, okay? So just like, you know, as well, so traveling to our new adventures. So adventures is one, you know, like I'm seeing adventures being mentioned a bit in the comments, which is really cool. So, you know, just having a look at this is some of what other ladies have also shared as well is, you know, freedom, adventure, connection, support, laughter, belonging, love, self-care, contribution, education, connecting, joy, movement, gratitude, excitement, and grounding with nature. So they're just a few examples of what some other ladies have mentioned. So once we've the next step is this. So once we've kind of broken it down and we've, you know, discovered why it is important to us and what that, you know, does for us, what I want to have a look at, and the next thing is called wounded values. Okay, so when you have a look at your list, so actually before I go into this, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second because I don't know what I'm doing with my slides. So when we have that list now, okay, so you're having a look at that list, and these lists are kind of our values, okay? So you've mentioned security, legacy, purpose, connection, joy. So that's kind of where you can do a brain dump and be like, right, well, these are my values now. And then what you want to do is you want to have a look at, see if any of them are wounded. Now, wounded means are you doing something because something bad had happened in the past and now you don't want that to happen, so you're bringing that into your life? For example, say if you are talking about like relationship values and you're saying, well, trust is number one. I need to have trust in my relationship because if there's no trust, then, you know, that's it, there's no relationship. And what I want to ask with that, because I mean, I used to have that as my value. Now, having a look at that or looking at where that's coming from, okay, so that trust, of needing that trust, was because of having relationships in the past where the trust was broken, okay? Now, this is where I'm bringing that wound in. I'm bringing that I don't want someone to cheat on me or someone to break my trust, so I'm going to focus on that as my value. Now you can see that there's kind of that negativity that comes with that, you know, like, because and I mean, if we're going to enter into a relationship or a business agreement or anything, a friendship even, you want to already automatically have that trust in that person already. You know, you don't want to go into a relationship being like, I don't trust you, but I'm going to work on getting trust with you. Like, it's not really aligned. So this is where we can have some values that have those wounded, those wounded memories with them, and that can still lead to like that life of not feeling fulfilled or the love, or and it's kind of those misaligned values. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely. It's like a double-edged sword kind of situation.
Yeah. So that's when we can think about it as well and go like, okay, well, what can I replace instead? What is a positive that I can put instead of, for that? So if it's like, oh, I want trust in a relationship, it's like, well, what else do you want? Like, well, I also want, communication, and I want compassion, and I want love, and I want passion, and I want just that, that connection, that kindred spirit connection sort of thing. So that's where you can look at more of like the positives that you want, instead of, oh, I don't want him to cheat on me. Do you know what I mean? So
no, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. And I think it's quite, unless you really look at it, it's quite deceptive, isn't it? To think that something is a value, but it's actually a wounded value. It does take breaking it down.
And I mean, and this is what I love about this as well. It's like just that another layer of just kind of like, whoa, okay, just kind of checking in with yourself as well. And it's like, all right, and that's totally fine if you've been living a life where you've been aligned with wounded values. That's totally okay, because almost everybody has. Like I mentioned before, so many people don't know.
Absolutely. I just want to read Mandy's comment, because she says, yeah, right. So one of my values is about belonging because of the feeling of separation that I feel so strongly. So she's identified that feeling of separation, which is, that's awesome, Mandy, that you can do that. It's so good.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing as well. I love that. So would you, Mandy, do you feel that as like a wounded value, or do you feel that because you've kind of identified it and now you're moving forward to more, the belonging? So what you could ask is, so what does belonging give me? Okay, so this is where we can break it down again. Does belonging give you the connection? Does it give you fulfillment? Does it give you that feeling of love, and just breaking it down that little bit more, because on the next question I'm going to ask you is kind of, how can you live every day following this value? So how can you live every day feeling that you are belonging? Okay, now just from what I'm thinking, and it's kind of just coming through, that it's like feeling of that belonging may still have that little bit of a wound to it, but if you're breaking it apart of connection and say joy, if you're like, okay, well, what can I do today that brings me connection? And then you say, well, what am I wanting to connect to? Is it wanting to connect with myself, or is it wanting to connect with others? Or what can I do today to bring joy? And do I want to bring joy to myself or to others? And that's where you can kind of break it down a little bit more and move it away from that, I want to be belonging because of feeling separation, to I want to be connected and feel joy with myself. If that's kind of what comes up for you. So
let's see what she says. But I think it's so good to be able to do that, to break it down into very doable, manageable steps like that, because we can all think of a way to feel more connected to ourselves, and it could be something tiny. It doesn't have to be, anything major.
Exactly.
Oh, yes, I understand totally. Awesome. She says thank you. It's awesome. so good. It's so, so good for all of us to, it's such a good value for all of us to take on and think,
Mhm.
how can we feel more connected to our true self? Like, what can we
Yeah,
do? Yeah.
exactly. Like I know I've had moments that when I'm feeling kind of disconnected from myself or from my family or from my friends or from, just kind of feeling a little bit out of place, and when you kind of say questioning life or questioning things, and that's when I come back to my values, and kind of can relate with Mandy of that feeling of belonging when you're kind of like, oh, I'm not fitting in anywhere right now, like I'm not feeling that connection. It's like, right, well, why aren't I feeling connection? And then when I break it down more and I'm like, I haven't looked after myself, I've been so maybe more in my masculine energy and focused more
Yeah.
on work or driving into that, or and then it's like, hang on a minute, I haven't tapped into my own core energy, and that's like a whole nother topic.
A whole
But
different life.
yeah, it's so different, but it's like I
We'll have
haven't
to have you
connected back
again.
into myself. Oh, I love talking about the energies. Like it's again another life-changing
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
we will stay on track for today.
Awesome. Yeah, I
But
love
yes.
it because it's so easy to get disconnected, isn't it? It's so easy to get
Mhm.
disconnected, and um, that's why I shared a little process in the 5-day challenge that we did a few months back, where
Mm.
I do like a hand on heart check-in as many times as I can remember during the day, where I just might just be boiling the kettle to make tea or something, just put hand on heart and just take a few deep breaths and just ask yourself, like, how are you right now? Like, how are you? What's up? Just to check in. And how are you? What's coming up? And it might be just like the feeling comes up might be like, I'm actually really tired. I am actually really tired. I was up a lot last night. And then it'd be like, hey, what do you need? Okay, I actually just need to go to
Mm.
flow today. I need to just take it easy. I need water. I need a lot of water today. But it's only through checking in like that. Otherwise, you just go on
Mhm.
autopilot and that takes over. And
Yeah,
our needs change,
definitely.
every day, don't they? Every day,
Mhm.
every hour, we need something different. So by checking in
Yeah.
regularly, we can really tap in to what it is
Mhm.
that's help us feel connected again.
Yes, most definitely. Um, oh, yes, I'm like, oh, I just want to do it now, but I'll just. It's such a good practice as well, and I really love just. Oh, I've stopped sharing. I really love just kind of placing my hand on my heart as well. Like
Yeah,
it's like an instant connection in with yourself as well.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's such a good
thank you for that little reminder.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'll just jump back into it. So yeah, just going back over the wounded values. So so just looking over your list and seeing if it is actually a value or if it's a wound. Sometimes we start with values that something at first seems important to us, only to find out that it's a wound from our past experience. So pretty much like what we've just mentioned already.
Yeah,
And this can cause like that dysfunctional set of values. So that is what we want, but may not be what we need. Now, it can be hard to admit when your values aren't serving you, but if you're able to see that pattern and shift your mindset to believe that the relationships must be nothing but like say going back to like relationships, how I was mentioning about the trust and the
yeah,
wounded trust, that going back and believing that relationships must be nothing but positive and loving, then you'll see the reflection is on your bonds with other. Now, what I invite you guys to do is just to go back over to your values so you can identify any of those that are wounded. And are you able to make that mindset shift to replace that with a valued value, or one that is more aligned with you to bring happiness, love, and fulfillment into your life? So, like we kind of broke down with Mandy's, are you able to just have a look at that and break it down? So, what does belonging give you? And I've lost the other comments. I saw one of the other ladies was commenting her values as well. Are you able to see those? I think
yeah. Shauna has said that her values were fulfilled, joyful, connected, love, and excitement.
oh, I love them. They're good. Nice. So what you then want to do, so what we've got is we've got our brain dump, we've got our values, we've worked out what our wounded ones are, and we've kind of replaced them with more valued. So what you want to do now is you want to have a look at your list and you want to number them from 1 to however many you've got, and having a look at what is the most important to you. So if we went back over to yours, you had, so what did we have? So you had connection, purpose, joy, security, and legacy. So what would you say? What would you say would be most important? So connection, purpose, joy, security, and legacy.
I would say joy would be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 would be purpose.
Yeah.
Number 3 would be connection.
Great. And then security and legacy.
Legacy, security. No, security, yeah. Legacy. Change my mind.
No, and that's totally fine. I mean, you'll probably change it again in the next one, maybe. So when we break it down, so we have joy as number 1, purpose is number 2, connection as number 3. I'm just writing these down. Security for number 4, and legacy for number 5.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So then the next one is kind of so it's the reordering, okay? So now you have a look at this. Yeah, so and it could be exactly the same, or it could be how you've just mentioned it, how you've listed it 1 to 1 to 5, and whatever the ladies have, how many they have. And so what you want to do, so you've listed joy as number 1. So the way to go through this is that you look at the value that you have and then the one underneath it. And then you say, is this value more important than the one above it? Or maybe it's not. Okay, so looking at, you've got joy, purpose, and connection as your first 3. So would you say that joy is more important than purpose, or purpose is more important than joy? Joy?
I'd say still joy, yeah. I'd still say joy is number 1.
Yeah, awesome. And would you say that connection is more important than, oh, sorry, I've got hiccups. Connection is more important than purpose, or purpose is more important than connection?
Oh, it's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're very kind of on level to me.
Yeah.
No, well, I'd probably say connection over purpose if I really had to choose.
Yeah, perfect. And another way that you can do it, if you're finding that you're a little bit unsure, is you say, could I live my life without connection, or could I live my life without purpose? And that could be hard as well, but it's like when you really kind of sit with it, like, could I live a life without being connected with people? Like, could I live a life without, living my life by purpose?
Gosh, okay, I'd probably go connection then.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got joy and then we've got connection. So would you say then the next one would be purpose and security? So is purpose more important to you, or is security more important to you?
I would say security, probably.
Perfect. Yeah. Great. And then the next one is purpose and legacy. So is purpose more important to you, or is a legacy more important to you?
I feel like they're quite similar, actually, purpose and legacy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Purpose before legacy.
Purpose before legacy?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so when we have a look at this now, your values are going joy, connection, security, purpose, and legacy. How does that feel for you?
Yeah, it feels right.
Yeah?
It feels right. Yeah.
Perfect. So, can I ask you, with security, What does security give you?
Security gives me a sense of grounding and calm.
Awesome. So if we were to change the word security to say grounding, would you say that that is more important than purpose, or is purpose more important than grounding?
Do you mean security or?
Well, so what I was thinking is another way to kind of, I'm just sorry, my mind just went a little bit next. So just having a look, so I'll just stop sharing for a second. So when I was looking at the word security, and it's like, oh, you know, you could, that I feel like that's another word that you can then break down into more and more and more, you know. So it's like,
yeah. So
just I felt, yeah, and I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of felt that you were like, oh, you know, felt this like with security of like you had to do it sort of thing, where I'm not sure what I'm trying to get at. Like, was the security more for others, or was it more for yourself when you think of the word security?
When I was talking about it originally, when I was talking about setting up the kids, it was more for them than myself.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So when we go to the next question of how can you bring this into your life every day? So how can you bring security into your life every day? I'm wondering if that's something that you feel that you can do, or if we broke it down to like the grounding or calmness, maybe that might be more aligned.
Very easy for me to think about all the things that I do to bring in grounding and calm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very easy for me to see it that way when you break it down.
Yeah, cool. Because what we could do, and again, my mind is going crazy, but it's like, well, the security when you had in the mind of what you would set up for your boys, that could then go into like one of your goals, you know. So your goal is to set security up for the boys. Now, how am I going to do this? I'll do the videos, I'll do this, I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. Where that would be more like, say, like a goal value than something I can do every day for myself value, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, and it's not that it was wrong, like that was perfectly, it's perfect, you know. And if you want to have every day, like, how can you feel that you're creating security for yourself or for your family today, that's totally fine as well. So yeah, I just wanted to pop that out there, that just like another example of how you can break it down as well.
That's great.
Great. So I'll just share again. So just lastly, so then it's just kind of reorganizing it, and I've stopped sharing. I keep pressing stop share instead of presentation. So sorry, guys. All right, so presentation. So now that what we've done is we've had a look and said what's more important. So we've gone joy, connection, the joy, connection, security, purpose, and legacy. So now so then what you break it down. So these are my top values. Mine's connection, contribution, creativity, movement, and adventure. So when you have your list of your top 5 values, and please share in the comments if you like, you know, share what your top 5 values are. But then what you want to do then is you can then use this space to create like a brain dump of all the fulfilling things you can do to meet your core values. Okay, so what are all the things that you can do to bring joy into your life? Or what are all the things you can do to bring connection into your life? And what are the things you can do to bring security into your life and bring purpose into your life and bring your legacy into life? Okay, so this is where it can get really fun, and you can just do that big brain dump, and you can think of all the things that you want to do. And maybe this is where I've jumped a little bit, where I said about the goals with your security. So this is where you can now write, all right, well, if I want to do security, I'll do this for the kids and this and this and this. You know, and then the next thing that you want to ask is, how can I live my life and live today by my core values? And what is the one thing I can do today to live by these core values? So
so good. It's so clever the way that the questions are put together, because it makes it from something that's really vague and just, you're just saying stuff because because you think that's what you should say, to real life fulfillment. This is as easy as it is, like coming up with a list of things that you can do to fulfill those values, and could be so simple, like just making dinner with the kids, or just, taking 15 minutes a day where you're not on a phone and you have like a proper conversation. I think, and just bringing that into your routine of your daily life. I think it's so easy, and just makes daily living very, very meaningful. Such a good share. Really such a good share, Abby.
Thank you so much for for allowing me to share. Like it really does. And what I just want to share quickly before I realized the time, I'm like, oh wow, we've chatted for a while. I was thinking like, oh yeah, just 20 minutes. But what happened is we're kind of so programmed to use our conscious mind to give the answers that we think people want us to say. Okay, so for those who don't know much about the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, like our unconscious mind creates 95% of our behaviors, and our conscious mind is only 5%. So we might think things like, oh, I don't want to, like, why would I want to have anxiety? This is what I used to think, like, why would I choose to have anxiety? When my unconscious mind is going, well, we need anxiety to keep us safe, or we need it for this, this, and this, And it's not until we work with the unconscious mind, which is pretty much what we're doing now. Like, we're doing a very conscious, practice, but that's the first question. What would you do if you had 6 months to live? Our conscious mind is like, oh, this, 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 and this. And now we break it down. We allow our unconscious mind to kind of come out and go, well, I would have joy, and I would have connection, and really getting to the soul of you, really getting to your core. So I just thank you so much for letting me share.
It's an amazing practice. I'm so glad that you shared the workbook on here as well. So everyone can come on and watch the replay. I know Shauna had to jump off because it's late. She's in America. And
wow.
we've got people from all over the globe, which is so cool. And they can all, go through this process by themselves, go through the workbook, and hit you up as well if you want any any in-depth advice and how to move forward with these things. So I'm so grateful, Abby. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. It was awesome. And thank you for bringing your slides and your technical capability as well, because it just makes the process so much easier.
Oh, no, this is super fun. Thank you so much. And thank you all as well for commenting and being raw and vulnerable, and just, getting deep and, sharing and discovering what your core values are.
Yeah, it's so good. All right, Abby, beautiful to chat. And if anybody else, any other women in the group think, oh, I've got something I want to share, it doesn't have to be, a really technical process. It just, anything that you'd like to come on and share. Just to finish, Mandy says, gorgeous work. Will definitely be bringing more awareness to when I'm meeting my core values. Thank you so much. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome. All
right, my lovely. Well, I'll let you do the sign off because you signed in. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.